How's everybody doing on this full moon? Look at you, Kathleen. Hi. So nice to see you. It's the moon was full at 6:55 this morning, and it stayed full, exactly full, until about 6:55 this evening. Well, I spent quite a bit of time in the last few days thinking about what we were going to talk about. And what I settled on was how important it is to realize that life is a game. It is a game, and unlike other games, however, you can't lose it. You can't lose it and you can't blow it. And that's really, really an important thing to think about, because most people spend their lives from the womb to the tomb trying to avoid blowing it. And the way it was set up, and it was set up in a way that it is foolproof. The thought left the mind of the Creator perfectly formed, and formed to be good. Do you remember from Alpha to Omega? It was contemplated, and it was decided, this will work for me. This will work. And so, but how is it going to work? It's going to work based on our ability to follow the rules. Because just like any other game, there are rules. And these rules we call universal laws. You've all heard about universal laws. There are 7 of them, and they must be ultimately learned and utilized in order for you to have fun playing. Because you see, you can't lose, but you can have bad experiences if you don't really understand how to play. So the first thing you're going to want to do is learn the rules. And I'm going to touch on a few of them tonight. I'm going to touch on ones that I think are really important for now. The first one, the main one, is the law of mentalism. The law of mentalism says that all is thought, that everything begins with a thought. You can't have movement without a thought. You can't have activity of any kind without a thought. So now what you want to do is make sure that your thoughts are producing the results that you desire. Very, very important. They are going to produce after their own kind. Each thought is going to produce after its own kind. So whatever you're thinking is going to be what you're manifesting. See, so everybody wonders, how did this happen to me? How did this come about? Why this? God, why this? Because you said so, because you thought it. Now, what you want to do, if you can't remember that you had the thought, is start watching more carefully. Because most people are disconnected from having the thought or the subconscious belief and then having the experience that they end up with. So what we're going to do is, just like if we were learning tennis or a foreign language or anything else, we're actually going to take the time to master our thinking. All right? And so here's what we don't want to do. With mastering our thinking, we don't want to say, here's my result, but I didn't think that. See, that's unlawful. What we want to do is be meticulously lawful so that we can really end up managing, mastering, having an experience, a powerful experience in our lives and of our lives. So the first thing we want to do is say, if this is what's here, then this is what I thought. If this is what's here, this is what I thought. Now, this is a practice in being lawful. If this is what's here, this is what I thought. Know your intentions and your thoughts by the results that you're producing. Very simply. So now I'm looking at, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. Now, is it true that there is no money in the universe or just on this planet? There's plenty of money, right? Why do some people end up with a lot of it and some people end up with none of it? And really, believe it or not, it has nothing to do with luck. It has nothing to do with God blessing one group of people and not blessing another group of people. It has only to do with the main rule in this game. What do you think? Now, you've all heard yourself thinking, I don't have enough money. Well, as soon as you said that, that was a seed that went into the soil that started producing your results. Did I say that? Your thought was a seed that went into, but I was telling the truth. I really don't have any money. Well, if you don't have any money, based on this game, it's because you said you don't have any money. Well, what am I going to do? If I don't have any, I can't lie. My question is, who's speaking? Now we're going to get to identification, aren't we? Who's speaking? Because as I remember it, there was a creative thought that started this whole process. And the thought said, I am that I am, and I want to see myself extended into form. I am that I am, and I want to see myself extended into form. That means that what you see back here is what? Come on. It's what? It's God. It's what we're going to call God, which is a vibration of everythingness. Back here said it had a thought. And remember how thoughts become results. Back here there was a thought that said, I want to see myself in form. And out here, the form was the same as the thought, which means the thought was what? And the form was what? That's it. So now I'm going to ask you what you're thinking. When you say you don't have enough, who's speaking? Is that ever going to be true? Who's speaking? Who's speaking? Now, you may be disconnected from the fact that who's speaking is God, but who's speaking is God because guess what? There is nothing else. There is nothing else. That invisible became visible or became form, or the nominal became phenomenal as exactly it left the mind. It became visible as God. And there is absolutely nothing else. La ilaha illallah. That's Arabic for there is nothing but God. There is nothing but God. So now, I don't have enough money. Is that ever going to be true? But it can be true for you if you separate yourself from the all that is and stand over here as not that and speak from that not that. Then you're going to have an experience of that. It'll never be a true experience. It'll never be real. Because as the image and likeness of God, you could speak forth anything that you wanted and put a so be it behind it and have a completely different experience. But you'd have to start with the Word, because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was not only, it was, right? God. The Word was God, the manifestation is God. I am that, therefore, everything that I think becomes form. I was watching a video this morning on quantum physics, and it was actually proving scientifically that when you have a thought, this energy goes into the quantum field, the great primeval ocean, and starts formulating. So it actually dresses itself. Every time you have a thought, that thought goes into the quantum field. That thought, as a seed, goes into the soil. And when you have a thought of cantaloupe that goes into the soil, it doesn't come out as strawberry. When you have a thought of green peas going into the soil, they don't come out as yellow tomatoes. What am I saying? Your thoughts go in and they come out because your thought is still linked with the divine. Your thought is still holding the power of the universe behind itself. And so all you'd have to do to have a different experience, and you've heard this a million times, all you'd have to do to have a different experience is to have different thoughts. And you get to have different thoughts, but you can't have different thoughts without properly identifying yourself. You cannot have a thought that says, I'm whole, perfect, and complete as an ego, because an ego will never be whole, perfect, and complete. An ego will always be a separated entity. It will never be a part of the one thing identified as the ego. So the only way that you can be a part of the one thing and to have the experience and the power behind your words of the one thing is to identify yourself properly as that. So in Egyptian mysticism, we call that stepping to the left. Stepping to the left. We call identifying yourself as the ego or the world stepping to the right. Which leads me to another very important law, which is the law of vibration. Because the law of vibration says that if you are standing to the left, you are standing in what we call kingdom consciousness, or the consciousness of the divine. And when you're standing to the right, you are polarizing into the emptiness. This is very important, because when you identify yourself as a personality, I am a woman, I am 25 years old, I'm Jewish, whatever you do, however you identify yourself, then as other than the divine, you are stuck then with the circumstances and the thought system of that identification. Can you hear me? So the only way you're ever going to be able to utilize the power that comes with the great mind is to identify yourself as a stream of divine consciousness. As a stream of divine consciousness. That gives you all, it gives you all of your power. It gives you all of your majesty, you see. Because over here, we call this in polarity, in the law of polarity, which is one of the 7, everything. What we call this over here is nothing. These are polar opposites, everything and nothing. So that when I identify myself as everything, there's nothing that is impossible to me and everything is available to me. But when I identify myself as nothing, no matter how I try and no matter how much I pray and no matter how much I work and strive to have something, if I'm standing in the nothing at the end of the day, I'm going to end up with nothing. That is a universal law, and I'm asking you to learn the rules of the game so that you can stop being frustrated. If you stand in the nothing, nothing is inevitable. So here is your opportunity. Stand where everything is. The ancients used to say, seek thee first the kingdom if you wanted something. Now I'm saying the same thing. Here we're going to call kingdom consciousness. Here we're going to call hell, where is suffering and emptiness and sickness and poverty and craziness and death. Over here we have eternal life. So I say I want to have abundance in my life, and then I stand over here where abundance is not possible. So I don't care if I win the lottery. I don't care if I win $2,000 million. If I'm standing over here, it won't be a year before I'm back to minus, because it is a sieve, this side. It is a sieve because of the law that says only one side can be full. The side, kingdom side or the ego side. Only one can be full. This one is a sieve, like a spaghetti drainer, so that everything that goes in, all the water that goes in, empties out. So at the end of the day, you're going to have an empty space. Over here, everything stays full, is full, remains full, and all you have to do to stay full, be full, and remain full is to identify yourself with the fullness. Now, we were thinking about certain movies that have come out lately that say that you can sit down in a chair and you can dream up some kind of abundance or some relationship or some fancy car. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't care what you dream up, pray for, wish for, hope for, and pin on your wall on a vision board. If you stand here at the end of the day, if you get it, you will have magicked it up. And the one thing we know about magic is that it is here today and mañana. What we say in Arabic, wala haga, nothing. So now here's some really precious, precious advice. Learn the laws and properly identify. Learn the laws and properly identify. Wake up every morning and you look in the mirror and you see what's looking back at you is either a vehicle, a 49 Ford, a 2006 Rolls Royce, a vintage Mercedes, or the image and likeness of God. And I'm telling you, if you identify yourself as a separated personality, you're never going to have a positive, powerful experience of this magnificent game called life. It is created out of magnificence to be magnificent, to be abundant. You cannot count the number of leaves on a tree. You cannot count the grains of sand on a beach. You cannot count the drops of rain in a storm or the breaths that you take in a day. That's because you are surrounded by unlimited abundance. But you can close your eyes and think that there is no light. You can look in your checkbook and think that there are no funds. You can look to what you think you know on paper and say that there is no knowledge. But there is, see. And you don't have to do anything or work really hard to have what you were created as already. So a lot of people, most people, are the image and likeness of God, standing over here as separated entities, pretending to be the image and likeness of God. Not the image and likeness of God, the divine streaming through, but just powerful for no reason. Powerful because I have big muscles, powerful because I have a big bank account, powerful because I'm cute, powerful because what? See, there is no power separated from power. There is nothing separated from power. So here's the deal. You have an opportunity to remember who you are. You have an opportunity to remember why you are. There is nothing but God. And if you find yourself identifying yourself as unworthy or pitiful or poor or small or ignorant, if you find yourself being judgmental or hateful, you know good and well you're standing in a place where you'll never have peace and you'll never have joy. Hey, but that's choice. The law of vibration. One last point. The law of vibration says if you're standing in the light, only light-filled things can come to you. How many times have you stood in the dark and been afraid of the dark when you could have stood in the light with no problem? See, because the vibration, the law of vibration says that dark things can't happen in light. That's a law. See, this is a scientific proven law. Dark things can't happen in the light. So why would we stand in the dark and be afraid of the dark when we could so easily choose to move to the light and just stand there and let the love and power and wisdom of God surround you? I heard this beautiful speaker just a few minutes ago saying that God, therefore us, therefore every single thing is whole, is perfect, and complete. And all we'd have to do is start knowing that, and not knowing it in some superficial, detached way, but in a deep and powerful and profound way. I am connected to the all. I am a beam from the sun. I am a ripple of the great ocean. Everything. I am an heir to the kingdom. See? So why don't we think about these things? The next time we want to identify any way that is not whatever you would say about God. When I was working in Africa, in Ghana, I did this process where I put 2 blackboards up. And I asked the participants to describe God. And I'm going to ask you all, just give me one adjective. Just everybody throw out one adjective. Come on. And so I wrote all these things on a blackboard. And then I asked them to describe man or mankind. Just tell me what you think they might have said. Man is, say it? Limited. Give me some, come on. Simple, limited, greedy, lustful, angry. Now I'm going to ask you, would you give anything to anybody, even yourself, who fit the description hold of mankind? You just said all these wonderful things about God and all these horrible things, not necessarily you, but they, all these horrible things about mankind. And then you wonder why you're not having a powerful, abundant experience because of what you think about mankind. Okay, what if there is no mankind? What if there's just God extended into form? Then who are you talking about when you come up with all those crazy adjectives? Poor and sick and tired and hateful and lustful and angry and what? Because there is, again, nothing but God. If you start identifying yourself as that and appreciating your brothers and sisters as that and see and be only that, I guarantee you that next year when I come back to see you, your circumstances would be totally different. And all it would take is for you, see, because it's not up to you who you are. Established before you were. But it is up to you who you say you are. And you have an opportunity to correct what you're saying about you and your brothers and sisters that will change your life and the way you experience this magnificent game forever. I love you. Give me something that you can actually transform into. Yes, dear.
You said there were 7
universal laws. First one is mentalism. Everything is thought, and everything that you think manifests. So, I think that's the most powerful one. We can almost stop with that one. Every single thing that you think manifests. And in your auric field, let's just say this circle is my auric field, and I stand in the middle of it. If it comes to me, I had to think it. Now, I'm not going to remember that I thought it, but I'm going to have to trust the law and admit that somewhere, on some level, this is what I think if this is what I have. And if I don't like it, I need to stop and not argue that I don't believe it, I don't think it. I need to see it, and I need to stop and say, is this true of the divine? If it's not true of the divine, ultimately, it cannot be true of me, and I must change it. So this is where proper identification is a must. There is nothing but God. Anything else? Anybody else? What are all the laws? Mentalism is the first one. Correspondence, as above, so below. That means, if you want to know really the nature of God, look at the nature of yourself. And I mean really. Loving and compassionate and thoughtful. Watch this. Everybody watch this. Did you see that? That was a demonstration of how powerful a thought is. Because before I could actually have a full thought that I want to move my hand, all the nerves and muscles and tendons and nerves that were necessary to create that movement occurred before I could finish thinking the thought. That is the power of thought. Thought circumnavigates the globe before we can finish even thinking it. It's the most powerful force in the universe, and we're either using it to glorify ourselves or to destroy ourselves. It's just the way it is. Oh, I didn't get very far, did I? So I didn't get past correspondence. All right, mentalism, correspondence, vibration. All right, vibration, that's an important one because as I said, everything to the left is very, very rapid vibration. It's all light. Everything over here is the absence of light, or dark, if you will. There are things that can happen in the absence of light, and if you want to just check out a plant, just take the plant out of the sun and put it in a closet and see what happens to it. Out of the light, everything perishes. So you want to make sure that your vibration stays high, and it can only stay high if you stay in the light, and there are ways that you can stay high, and love, praise, and gratitude are the 3 most powerful ways. Keep your mind stilled on love, praise, and gratitude. Learn to praise. What does it mean to praise? It means to acknowledge what the Spirit of the living God is doing and say, ooh, just like that, just like, ooh. See, that's all that praise entails, is just to notice what's a sunrise, a sunset, a full moon, a baby in 9 months, for heaven's sake, ooh, like that. So where am I? Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity. Polarity is important because 2 things of different poles on different ends of the poles can't occupy the same space. So you cannot then say, I'm loving in standing in fear, right? You can only say I'm loving standing in love. You can only say I'm fearful standing in fear. If you're identified with the ego, therefore, you are standing in fear all the time. Stand in love, identify yourself as God, and be thrilled with yourself. So that's polarity. So mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm. What did I forget?
Consequence.
Did I forget consequences? What goes around comes around. Did I really forget that one? That's way up there in the top, like number 3 or something. Correspondence. No, consequences. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. You plant a tomato seed, you're going to get a tomato out, and stop thinking you're reaping all these tomatoes, but I'm planting strawberries. No, you're not. You're planting tomatoes if you're getting tomatoes. So now if you want strawberries, stop for a minute and correct. Don't keep standing there cursing the strawberries or the tomatoes or whatever it is that you got that you weren't supposed to get. All right, so where was I? Come on, help me. Mentalism. Correspondence. Consequences. Vibration. Polarity. Rhythm. Don't get to gender before I finish rhythm. Rhythm. It simply means that for every day there must be a night. It just goes this way and it comes this way. It cycles. You know, it rains and then it's sunny. And you have to be thankful for all of it. And a master stands on top of the cycles and stands in the oneness so that he actually is in unity consciousness as he's standing in duality. Huh? And duality will be duality. Up becomes down and down becomes up, and that's just the way it is. And gender. Yes, dear. It's what? Standing above. Yes. You brilliant thing. Yes. And the last one is gender. In creation and only in creation, everything has to be gendered, masculine and feminine. In spirit, everything is one. But in order to create, you have to break that one into two and go from there. It takes two, baby. It takes two, baby. Me and you. All right? So that's it. Those are the 7. Any other questions? Anything else? Yes, dear.
If all there is God, what mindset are you in when you're in the ego?
You're still in the mind of God, working against yourself. So you're standing, you cannot help but be what God created, because that was all that was created. When that mind said, let there be, there was nothing else but that. So when you're standing in the I don't think I am that, you're still using the power of God to diminish yourself, but it's still the same power. All right, that, probably we used up that little extra time that we had. And
have time?
No, we still haven't?
She said till 8:45.
Oh my heavens. Anything else? Anybody else? Yes.
Here.
Are there exercises to actually develop
Yes.
yourself as God?
Yes. Yes.
Say it again, sir.
Yes.
What exercises are there to actually develop yourself as God? Your mindset and your spirit is.
All you have to do, really, is activate that intelligent gene that everybody has in his heart, in his Christ seed atom. Just know that nothing else makes sense, but to start seeing everything, including and especially yourself, because charity does begin at home. Start seeing everything as the one thing. It'll change everything. Stop seeing anything but the divine. Even if what you're seeing appears ugly, it's just the divine learning that it's divine. And it will learn that, because everything that hits the wall bounces back in awareness and knowledge. So when you see, I don't care what you see and I don't care what you do, it's like that in the beginning, the creators saw everything from Alpha and Omega to Omega and said it's good. And if it's not good, it's not over. All right? It's just about the way it is, see? It's like walking into Michelangelo's studio about maybe 6 months into David. Huh? Now, what you have is a big mess. You have a big block of stone with a bunch of chips and holes dug in it. And it looks like, oh my God, this is terrible. But just wait, it's not over. Huh? It's not over. All right.
Somebody else?
Oh, wait a minute. Here's something
There
else.
you are.
Somebody help me.
Yes, I got you.
Sorry, but I can't help but wonder, do you carry the green tomatoes with you when the soul reincarnates?
Well, talking about now, not tomatoes. Now you're talking about raisins.
Raisin.
Now you're talking about raisins. Okay? What's the matter? This is
Here, actually, switch.
hello.
This is the speaker's mic.
Hello. Oh, hello. Okay, now she's talking about raisins. So in the beginning, we are given, let's just say, our own portion. That's a glass filled with, and I'm going to say milk because you can see a raisin, or a fly. We're going to see a raisin in the milk. So we're given a pure glass of, let's just say, milk, and then we take it and we dump all sorts of raisins in it. So our objective is to get those raisins out. And if it takes 10 lifetimes or 1,000 lifetimes, those raisins do have to come out. Forgiveness is our only function here. Get those raisins and give them forth. Take them out. Take them out. It's the evolution of the soul. I love her. What's your name? I'm keeping you. Thank you for having us. We enjoyed it. We love you, and we will be back.
Wow. I told you, is this all on? Yes? Okay. I told you we were in for tonight. It was so beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really can't thank them enough. I would go on all night, so I think we have shown our love and appreciation, and thank you, Akili, so much for that beautiful meditation. If you have your programs, I would like to lead us in our closing invocation. It's in the inside. Closing invocation. Father, Mother, God, and Goddess, thank you for the blessings we have received. Be with us now as we leave this sacred circle and go forth into our daily lives, taking the energy generated here tonight out into our homes, our work, the people we love, and all we touch. May we be your open channel into this world each day. And stand on the left side, in the light.